Hi guys! So today I've got a really fun game to show you, and that is Disney's The Haunted Mansion Call of the Spirits game. I got this as a Christmas present a couple of years ago from my best friend, and surprisingly I had not seen that it was a thing. Usually with things that are Haunted Mansion or Phantom Manor, I'm all over it, but it was a great gift because I hadn't seen the game, and since we got it we play it religiously whenever we visit our friends. So I've set it up briefly just to show you because I did just try recording this, but I did not know what I was talking about, so I had to refresh myself on the rules a little bit. It's got a lot of rules. Once you know how to play it, it's absolutely fine. Like, there's no problem, you can just check the rules just for reference here and there. But it is one of those games where if you're like me and you really struggle to understand game rules, I find myself reading the same line over and over again and not understanding what it means, because without putting it in practice it's really hard to visualize what the rules are telling you to do. So I end up watching YouTube videos of gameplay, or I just make somebody else show me how to play it, and then I sharpen up my rule knowledge from there. But I'm going to show you a little bit of the gameplay from what I can remember, and I'll show you the playing pieces. It's really nice. If I flip the box, it says, "Serpents and spiders, tail of a rat, call in the spirits wherever they're at." And it's got a little overview there. It's ages 8+, 2 to 6 players, and 30 minutes. So it is a really quick game. It's very entertaining, it's very fun, it's really good, but it is a little bit confusing to explain to somebody else, but once you're playing it, it's fine. It's made by Funko, but I think it's from the Disney store online. So I'm going to show you. The first thing to show you actually, which is a really cool extra, is the board game lid. If you flip it, it's the stretching portrait room, the elevator, which is a really cool touch because usually the inside of a box is just blank. It's just like the cardboard effect, and it's really nice to have the stretch portraits as if you're going down the elevators, all the gargoyles looking at you. So I thought that was really cool to see when I first opened up the box. Put that on the floor somewhere. You've got the rule book. It's only a couple of pages long and it is very simple to read. It's written very straightforward. I am very bad with instructions, honestly. There's little pictures of things so you know exactly what it's talking about. There's notes and things like that. So let me try and explain to you a little bit about how to play the game. So these are your playing pieces. There are a few others actually. There's a red and a green also, but for purposes of the game, let's say there's 4 players. So purple, a little teal kind of gargoyle, light grey, and this would be the colour I would be, I think, because for some reason I'm always yellow. Even though it's not my favourite colour, I always choose the yellow playing piece, and this neon green is kind of the closest that you can get to yellow. You've also got the hitchhiking ghost figures, which is really cool. It's like really intricate and detailed, and they begin in the crypt over here. And you each get a card that corresponds to your playing piece colour that just reminds you of the 3, well, there's more than 3, but you're only allowed to take 3 actions, but it reminds you of all the different things that you can do during your turn. So that just stays in front of you to remind you rather than keep checking the rules all the time. So we have stacks of cards here. I'm going to remind myself what the card stacks are called. The small cards, I believe, are called haunt cards. Yeah, so these are haunt cards. These are ghost cards. And these are event cards. So the game is played in 2 rounds. The game is played in rounds. Each round consists of 2 phases, the event phase and the action phase. So let's act as if we are going to play the game. This will be my figure here. So if I am beginning, I will hold the spooky torch. This is just to remind you of whose go it is, so you kind of pass it round depending on who is going first in that round. So in this round I am going to go first, so I will hold on to the torch, the candelabra, and the first thing we would need to do is flip one of these purple large cards. So there are 2 things on this card, same with every card. The first thing is how many spaces you move the hitchhiking ghosts. Now on the first turn this will not matter because you are all safe in the seance room here with Madame Leota, but when you are in different rooms it will matter. So this moves them 1 space clockwise. So we're going to go boop, and they will end up in this room. That will happen every time that you pick up one of those cards. They will move either clockwise or anti-clockwise, and I'll tell you a little bit later what that means for you. Each card will also have a condition. This card's condition says, if you end your turn in a room with at least 1 other player, draw a haunt card. Haunt cards are these small cards here, and you do not want them because at the end they are going to take points off your score, so you don't want haunt cards. So what you would try to do is at the end of your turn you would try to be in a room on your own, ideally. So we've tipped over that card. This will be the card for the round, so this card will take effect for everybody. We will all play 1 at a time. I will go, then player 2, player 3 and player 4. Then we will discard this card and pick a new one. So we are now going to lay out some ghost cards in the rooms. Those will be what you need to collect in order to get points at the end. So in the rules it states that you will always pick a number of ghost cards equivalent to how many players there are plus 3. So we would need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 ghost cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. You always begin placing the cards in the room where the hitchhiking ghosts are set up, and you always begin by putting the first 2 in that room. Then, oh, I've done it wrong. Then you move clockwise with the rest of the cards. So we've ended up with 1 card in each room, apart from the original 2. So now we're all ready to play our first round. So I have a little look at my card again, and it's my turn to go first. So I get to take 3 actions. There are 5 actions to choose from, but I only get to do 3, and some of them you can only do once per turn, which is discard a haunt card if you're in this middle room, or do make a duel, which we'll talk about later. So because it's the beginning, I'm probably going to move to a room and pick up a card, because there's not much else I can do right now anyway. So I have a look at the cards and I decide which one I would like to collect. Basically you want to make sets, and this will only make sense when you've played it a few times. So I'm not really going to go into it right now. Let's just pretend that I'm going to decide to collect the stretch portrait cards. I would move to that room just by placing my piece on the carpet. You never actually go into the room, but you can go to the carpet. And that is one action because I have moved to a room. Moving to an adjacent room could either mean going like this or like this, because that's the seance room in the middle there. I could rotate, which would mean doing this, to whichever room I wanted. So if I wanted to go to a room that's halfway across the board, it would make sense to rotate rather than move, because that would take me too many turns. Also, it may be beneficial for me to rotate the board if I want to move somebody to somewhere else where they don't have any particularly good cards, for example. So I have moved to an adjacent room. I will now collect a ghost card from the room. That is my second action. So with my third action, there are no more cards to collect, so I may as well move back to the centre. I could move to another room, but I'm going to move back to the centre. And then gameplay will continue as such. Player 2, player 3, player 4, they will all collect their cards and they will end up wherever they end up. So say, for example, some of them stay in the room, some of them stay on the board. And that's the end of one round. I would then pass the torch to player 2 so that we know player 2 begins the next round, and so forth. That is the main essence of the gameplay. There are little rules here and there that I'll try and go through with you, but it's a bit overwhelming to try and cram it all into your brain at once. It's a really, really fun game once you get the hang of it, especially if you've played it more than once. So let's pick up the next lot of cards. So the hitchhiking ghosts move clockwise 2. That's the first thing you do at the beginning of your round. So they would go 1, 2. Now, a little rule about the ghosts is if they pass you, so this person, you're safe in the seance room, but this person here is in a room. So say if the ghosts were moving past him, 1, 2, he would need to pick up a haunt card. Oh, it's a 2. Say if the ghosts landed on him, so if they were here and they went 1, 2, he would need to pick up 2 haunt cards. A 2 and a 2. This is why it's quite beneficial to either be in the middle or be quite far away from the ghost, so that you're probably not going to have to pick up haunt cards. Like I said, haunt cards contribute to like a negative score at the end, and if you're the person with the most haunt cards at the end, you have to discard your highest scoring card set. So say if you spent the whole game collecting a certain brand of cards, you would just have to totally disregard all of those points. So it's really not good to have haunt cards. They come in 1s, 2s and 3s. The way to get rid of these is, as it says on your action card, you may discard them in the seance room once per turn. So, as an example, say if it is this person's go, they may decide to pick up this card as one of their moves, move into the seance room as a second move, and discard a haunt card as their third move, leaving them with only 1 haunt card, which is much more beneficial than having more. So that is haunt cards. It's a really good way to sabotage somebody else trying to get the ghosts to move past them. Even some cards allow you to do things like that, so that would be good. Right, the condition on this card says, after putting ghosts in the mansion, meaning placing the cards, move all ghost cards in rooms adjacent to the hitchhiking ghosts into their room. So, we will lay out the cards. It would be 2 in this room because the ghosts are in this room. Try to keep them visible. And then 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then the 2 rooms that are adjacent to the ghost rooms, the cards would move into there. This makes it very difficult because when you pick up a card, if it happens to be in the same room as the hitchhiking ghosts and you pick it up, you also have to pick up a haunt card. So it's like a double-edged sword, I suppose. Right, what else can I explain to you? Let's see. Move to an adjacent room, rotate the endless hallway, collect a ghost card from your room. Oh, okay, dueling. So if somebody has a card that I want or that I don't want them to have, I can challenge them to a duel once per turn, as long as we're in the same room. So I'm in the same room as this teal coloured guy here, and I want to challenge him to a duel. This has the numbers 1 to 3 on it, and it corresponds with how many haunt cards I would be willing to pick up in order to win their card from them. So, for example, if I really wanted the card, I could set it to 3 and hope that they set theirs to a lower number, so I end up stealing their card. So, say if they have put 1, when we show our scores, I will win that player's card, but I will have to pick up 3 haunt cards and they will only have to pick up 1. So if I know it's a card that they would definitely want to keep, I could be sneaky and set my number to 0, but pretend that I'm challenging them, and then they might set theirs to 2 because they really want to keep hold of that card. Then when we show our figures, they get to keep the card, however they do have to pick up 2 haunt cards, which would be so much of a pain. So that's dueling. You can be really sneaky with that. So just some examples of the gameplay. Moving the hitchhiking ghosts clockwise and anti-clockwise, that's always the first thing you do. Just different little bits of information. If you end your turn in the endless hallway, you may immediately move into the seance room, so that's good, it saves you an action. If you end your turn in the hitchhiking ghosts room, move them 2 rooms in either direction. That's really good because if you do that, it may make someone pick up a card, pick up a haunt card. At the end of your turn, you may discard 1 of your ghost cards to discard 2 haunt cards. That's handy. And eventually, you'll pick up this card, Final Round. It's always in a different place, but it's always near the end because I believe you shuffle it with the last 3 cards of the pack or something like that. Put 3 extra ghost cards in the mansion, but you know by this point, if you've got a lot of haunt cards, you really need to be getting rid of, well, you can only get rid of 1 really, but it's best that you try and do that because you're coming to the last round. So that's a good view of those cards. Let me just explain to you a little bit about the ghost cards. So you've got stretch mansion cards. This gives you 15 points if you have 3 of the dynamite barrels. So where is he? There's another one. So you could be collecting him. If you get 2, you get no points. So you have to be really committed. So 15 points for 3 barrel cards. That's quite simple. Or you could choose to collect one of each of the themed portraits: the axe, the umbrella, the dynamite barrel, and the signpost. So there's the axe, the barrel, it's going to be right at the back, the umbrella, the signpost. That would get you 18 points. So you could, for example, collect these cards, which is what I tend to go for some reason. There are also these green cards. These are quite popular. There's quite a lot of these cards in the deck, and if you have one, you have 1 point. 2 would give you 4 points. 3 would give you 9 points. 4 would give you 16 points, and 5 would give you 25 points. So he's another good one to collect. Again, they just look like this. They all have different designs on them, but they all count as the green cards. Another one to collect could be, so these aren't necessarily collections. They do count towards your points because he's worth 2, but the good thing about these cards is you can discard a haunt card when you collect this. So when you pick it up, you get to get rid of one of your haunt cards. So that's really handy, and he's worth 2 points, so it's a win-win situation. Here we have some cups. Again, the same thing, they are worth only 2 points, but you get to move the ghosts, the hitchhiking ghosts, a certain number of rooms. So say if I picked up this one, move the ghosts 1 room when you collect this card. So I could go boop, and this person now has to pick up 2 haunt cards because they landed on his room. So that could be really handy to sabotage another player. What do we have? The hats. Again, they're not so much a collection as they are a good kind of card to give you an extra. So you only get 1 point, but you get to draw a card from the ghost deck when you collect this card. And of course it could be anything. Oh, see, it could be helping me get my stretch portrait collection. So that's that. They're all pretty self-explanatory. They just look a little bit complicated when you first come across them. We have the shoe, which for some reason I always collect the shoe as well, because you only need 2 and you get 7 points. But if you only have 1, it's no points. So that's a nice one to collect for 7 points. And obviously if you collect 4, you get 14 points, and so on. The candelabra. So you get quite a high point value, but you have to draw a haunt card when you collect this card. So it depends if you think you can discard it in time, whether it's worth the points. Personally, I don't much go for these cards because nothing's worth collecting a haunt card for, in my opinion. We have the mirror card, or picture frame. Maybe it's a picture frame, I'm not sure. So 1 is worth 3 points, 2 is worth no points, which makes no sense, and 3 is worth 12 points. So a really good one again to collect for some point value. And then you get the odd card like this one. Let me find a few more. These are like specials, I suppose. I'll just find you maybe one more. Okay. So these cards, you can decide if they would be worth it for you. So Madame Leota is only worth 3 points. However, if you have the lowest haunt card score value at the game's end, it will be worth 13. So She's a good one to pick up right on the very last round or near the very end if you know you have no haunt cards, or maybe one haunt card and other people seem to have a couple, because it's easy points. Again, he is worth 1 or 2 for each picture frame card. So if you've been collecting picture frame cards and then this guy pops up, he's a great one to have to complement your point score at the end. The Bride, so she's worth 2 plus 2 points for each hat card. There are so many of these cards. I think there's 99, like a play on the 999 happy haunts. But those are all of the different ways to score. There's no other different scorecards there. I think I've shown you all of them now. It just depends. Everybody has their different favourites that they tend to collect. Like I said, I like to collect the stretching portrait rooms and the shoe, but it just depends on preference, and it depends what pops up too. And that's basically it. When you get to the end of the final round, you each count up your score, and like I said, depending on how many haunt cards you have, you do have to minus this from your score. And if you have the most number of haunt cards, you have to discard your entire highest scoring set of cards. And I will tell you, that is so devastating when you realise that it's you, especially when you think that it's not going to be, and then all of a sudden someone makes you pick up a haunt card or something like that. You think you've won it and you just haven't. It's a really, really fun game. It's really nice to put on a background soundtrack as well on YouTube of something like Haunted Mansion music or spooky music maybe. It's really atmospheric. But yeah, I hope that, my cat is snoring. I hope that I explained it somewhat coherently and that you understood it a little bit more than I did when I first played. The more you play it, it honestly is easier each time, and by the third game you've got it. Like, it's just hard to get your head around all the little bits and pieces here and there, like, oh, am I allowed to do this? Oh, am I allowed to do that? And then sometimes you'll be playing a certain rule wrong or something, and you'll look in the rule book and realise. But I think you have that with every game. So I hope you've enjoyed having a little look at this board and this game and the gameplay along with it. And if you've got any other recommendations for games a bit like this, especially spooky games or maybe Disney games, I'd love to hear them, because I am a board game fanatic. I have more board games than I have anything else in my house, I believe, or maybe computer games, but yeah, I really collect so many board games. So if you guys have any recommendations, please let me know, and I will see you next time for another board game, hopefully. Bye.